Okay, ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, first off, what's up with the lineup change?
All the guitarists decided to send us an email 2 days before the Misfits tour. We had 3 weeks of the Misfits tour in America. So they decided, instead of making a phone call or knocking on my door, send us an email. So we were really screwed. So we did was call this kid that we played with before. We thought he was really good. Last time we played with him in Santa Cruz, California. And he came down 2 days later, learned the whole set. 3 days later, we were on tour with the Misfits.
Okay.
So he's a really good guy, and I'm really excited to have him in our band.
Okay. You having like static now with the old guitarist or nothing? No problems?
It's like, it's like a girlfriend, if a girl leaves you or something like that, why cry about it? Just move on, you know what I mean?
Right.
Never stole from us or anything like that. He never did it in a bad way. It just could have been we could have quit a lot easier, better for us, but fuck people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Just move on, and if you're in a band, you'll understand that you'll get stabbed in the back a lot.
Okay.
Just a part of being in a band.
And the last time you guys came to Montreal was like 2 years ago. So what happened during that two-year period? It was like Ignite, like taking a break, writing new songs, or what?
No, we were concentrating a lot on Europe and South America and stuff like that. So maybe that's why it was taking so long to get up here.
Okay.
It's kind of far away, dude. I mean, I know it's closer than Europe.
Yeah.
But you got to make a tour through America to get here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know.
So we were always waiting for. Plus, we were recording a new album. We had a lot of lineup changes. So.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll be back probably on the Snow Jam tour.
Okay. It's been like 5 years since your last full length for Call My Brother. So it's like. You find like you happy with the new album?
Yeah. Have you heard it yet?
Yeah, I heard it. Have it.
Yeah.
Really good.
I'm very happy with it.
Since the last album is like it's pretty old, like you find like issues which are still relevant, like you wrote like 5 years ago, are still relevant today to yourself. Like you find them still relevant for yourself. The issue that you wrote like 5 years ago.
Well, yeah, the same organizations were still pushing. If you look in the CD case, you know what I mean, took up a lot of space and stuff, and we got a new organization called Doctors Without Borders that we push.
Okay.
They're really cool. They just won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Okay.
And if anybody gets our lyrics and our CDs, they'll see that we're still the same band we were, just different songs.
Okay. What about the Sea Shepherd, the party you were supporting for the Black Light song? Like, do you still support like songs, like parties that you supported like back then?
Yeah. If you open up the cover, underneath the CD is a big Sea Shepherd's kind of little poster you can write to and stuff like that. So we still are. It's just the lyrics. I didn't write any songs about the Sea Shepherds this time, but it was just more. Lyrics are more about human beings this time. It was interesting. It was more about child abuse and about.
This one I found was more personal, like more like family oriented, like more like problems in the home, more drinkings. Like what was that? Like what inspired you to write sort of more of these type of lyrics or that
it was just something that was going on at the time. I was dating a girl who was pretty young. She got kicked out of her house. And I dated a girl. Right when she turned 18. Her parents kicked her out of the house because dad didn't have any more time for her, and it was like, you bring a child in this world, and you throw an 18-year-old girl out on the streets.
Right.
You know what I mean? And what kind of family is that? So I wrote that song, Fill in the Blanks, about that.
Okay.
So I just saw a lot more of human problems this time.
Okay.
For some reason.
Right. And I know you put out some acoustic demo.
Yeah.
And how did that come about?
Stuff that I can't do with Ignite, because I hate when I have a hardcore band and then all of a sudden they turn into a rock band, then they turn into an acoustic love ballad band, then they get back into hardcore. You know what I mean? Stuff I don't want to push on Ignite kids, but I still want to do. I can sing, and as one of the gifts God gave me is I can sing a song. So, so that's why I put out this Zoli stuff, and we're doing really well. We've played some really big concerts so far, and we're going to do like a European tour pretty soon, probably in the wintertime.
Who do you play with like when you're doing these type of gigs? Like
we played one show with Candlebox. It's not hardcore, so it's one show with Candlebox, one show with Sonic Youth. We had a show with Missing Persons. We had some shows. We have a show lined up at home at the House of Blues coming up. We had a show with Chris Isaac.
Oh. Wow.
Stuff like that kind of style music.
Who's in the lineup for Zoli?
Brett, the bass player of Ignite, and me.
Okay.
And we have 2 other guitarists. One guy, he's our merch guy right now. He's our guitarist, Kevin.
Right. You find yourself going more that direction, like sometimes me like an album or like kind of like a side project thing, or?
No, see, that's why I do the side stuff, because because it's not. If you do Ignite needs to stay the same. I don't want to push acoustic songs on Ignite. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the very first album had an acoustic song for Ignite, but I didn't write that. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And I didn't write. It had nothing to do with that.
You find like music is effective to give out like to pass out messages to like people, or you think people just come to hear your songs and they don't really care what you're talking about, more or less?
I think it's very effective.
Really?
And I think musicians have a responsibility when they're on stage to say something. And there's like, a lot of musicians I don't really agree with. A lot of bands I don't agree with their message, but they still go on stage to say it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The worst thing you can do is write songs about negative, like violence and putting people down and stuff like that. That's why I really like some of these bands that Earth Crisis, for example. I mean, I don't agree with everything they say, but I agree with like 99% of things they say. And there's a lot of people that don't agree with them, but they make you think. They made us think. The first time we went on tour with them, for example, the whole band was talking about veganism. I didn't even know much about veganism the first time I ever played with Earth Crisis. We had big arguments and debates and stuff like that. I really respect those guys. They talk the talk, they walk the walk. So I think music's a huge medium, especially for young people. Because if you get told something, that's one thing. But if you sing it, if somebody sings you a message, that's a totally different thing.
Right.
Music is a very powerful thing. It can go either bad or good. You can either be a positive message on stage, or you can be a really negative message on stage, and I choose to try to be positive.
You know what? I saw you guys in LA when you guys played with Downset at the Whiskey A Go Go.
Yeah.
And like first time I was in LA, and like, well, actually second time, I saw you guys. It really freaked me out because I went to the Whiskey and had all these things kind of like really regulated, where you couldn't stage dive, you couldn't like get on the stage, you couldn't sing along, you couldn't like crowd surf, and like kids were being kicked out. And I was like, I was totally freaking out. I was like, what do you think?
It's all because kids will do stage dive. LA is so Sioux City, man. I mean, it's just like one blood-sucking lawyer after another over there. And some kid broke his arm, and then the parents sued. They let it keep going. Then some kid broke his leg. Parents sued again. They shut it down.
Oh man.
So that's why. Another thing is, a lot of bands that play there have real bad followings. There's a lot of gangs in LA. Okay. So if they see anything going on, they'll kick the guy out.
Shit.
It's like I understand where the clubs are coming from, even though it's a bummer.
Right.
But I gotta understand, because you get sued, you know, you might lose your license to have the club open. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the problem with the people. Like if you're in a pit or you stage dive, you take that responsibility on yourself to hurt yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sucks, but that's the way it is.
So like, do you think like bands like maybe like since like it's like a negative aspect to their show, do you think bands like sort of stray away from playing at the Whiskey, or like clubs which kind of like impede people from having fun?
Well, we play there because we always talk to the bouncers and make sure that they're cool. It wasn't our show.
Right.
But I still let kids stage dive. I was stage diving too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to grab kids. When the bouncers show up, I'd run right in the middle and stop them from grabbing the kids, stuff like that.
Right.
There's not many places to play in LA anymore, man. There's one place called the Showcase Theater that lets people stage dive. That's all the way out in Corona. It's like an hour and a half.
Right.
And you got LA, which is a couple clubs, and that's it.
Wow. Do you see like the difference of scenes, like as you're traveling around? Like I know like Europe is totally different and everything. Like when you go on the East Coast, even Canada, do you see like different scenes around?
I like the East Coast.
Really?
That's the best. I think it's the best.
Yeah, I find more in Quebec it's very segregated. I mean, hardcore is just like hardcore here, and like kids like who go to hardcore shows, like you see them all the time. But like if you go to a punk rock show, all you see is punk kids, and like the hardcore kids don't really support. You know, it's very each his own, and it's like I find it's really odd here.
Sometimes it's funner to play punk rock shows because hardcore people are so judgmental.
Yeah.
That they I don't know where they get their like. Oh, we're hardcore. We're on some sort of higher plane than everybody else. You know, you go to a punk rock show, everybody just wants to have a good time.
Yeah.
They want to stage that. They want to dance around. The shows are big. It's fun.
I know.
Hardcore shows a lot of times there's a lot of like snooty, like stuck-up people for some reason. I don't understand why.
I know.
It never was like that before.
It's kind of weird. I mean, like, even tonight, I was like, I was like watching people's expressions. And I was kind of like wondering, like, these people like wearing Dead Kennedys t-shirts, like rancid, like like skanking, they're like whatever moshing. Like I can tell like some of the hardcore kids have this weird look in their face, like, oh my god, like what are you guys doing? You're dancing so weird, It's like I remember like last time Hatebreed played here, or some other band. Then I like went on some like message board, and all these hardcore kids are like ranting, raving about all these like Slipknot kids, wearing these t-shirts, and they're like in our territory, because Hatebreed is like, a hardcore band, and now all these people are trying to like mosh to it. I was like, what the fuck, man? It's like, music is music, like Hatebreed.
It's not your music either.
Exactly.
Just because you like a band doesn't mean that band is yours, and that no one else can like that band.
Exactly.
I got some country western dude in cowboy hat. I don't care if he's in the pit, It'll be funny. I'll be laughing at him, you know what I mean? As long as he's not hurting anybody else.
Right.
How do you expect this scene? That's the thing about Europe, see? Europe, you're gonna have long-haired dudes and mohawk guys and skinheads, not like Nazis, but like skinhead guys at the shows. And there's no beef, there's no problems. You have anybody a little bit different in hardcore shows nowadays, they get their ass beat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was why they started this whole thing, because they wanted to be different.
Right.
Now somebody else turns up different, we act in the same way people treated us back in the day. The problem with hardcore scene, I can talk about this because I'm a part of it, is that we're acting like the jocks treated us back when we were in high school.
Exactly.
Anybody shows up a little different, some guy shows up with long purple hair or something, starts dancing around, gets ass beat in there. It's stupid.
I know, it's totally hypocrisy.
And it's gonna tear it all down.
Yeah. It's kind of odd. But anyhow, any last comments or anything?
I just want to thank Canadian hardcore scene and Canadian punk rock scene for showing up tonight.
Cool.
Montreal is an awesome city.
Cool.
A lot of things to be proud of. This city. It's really cool for arts and stuff like that. So
The thing about Montreal is also I think it's getting a little bit too jaded. I mean, the shows here like every week, you know, it's like maybe sometimes even like 2-3 times a week there's a show. And kids after a while they just don't come out, you know. I mean tonight I'm surprised like there weren't like there's only like maybe like 150 or 200 people here, and it's like it's a surprise, you know. Like, you guys come around like it's been 2 years since you guys came here, and it's like all these kids. I'm like, where's that kid? Where's that kid? Where's that kid? You know, it's just.
they're gone. They're technos.
Well,
They're technos now.
might be.
You got my Canadian tattoo to wash off. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got the Canadian tattoo yesterday.
Who's it from? Guy Smiley?
Well, yeah. But it hurt a little bit.
Actually, really? Is it real? Or is it... No. I see.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thanks.